Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another edition of the Opposition Preview. Guys, make sure you run the likes up, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and as always, leave your thoughts in the comments below. And Wednesday night, Chelsea head to Anfield to take on Liverpool in a dress rehearsal of the Carabao Cup final coming up at the end of February. It's taken on a little bit of a different term with Klopp announcing he's going to be leaving the club at the end of the season. Anfield's always a tough place to go. Chelsea's away form pretty poor. 1 win in our last 6 away games is not the best, but I think seven or 8 of these last games of Liverpool have all ended in draws. So maybe the money should be on a draw. But to talk all things Liverpool, the game itself, I'd like to be joined by Errol, mate. Thanks for coming as always, bro. How you been? It's probably been some news that you probably weren't expecting to happen. I mean, it's been a few days now. How are you dealing with it?
Honestly, I still a little bit shocked. I mean, it's sunk in, and we've got to just get our heads around it as Liverpool fans and make the most of the time we've got with him. I think all Liverpool fans share the sentiment, and he's probably one of the. I'm 32. He's probably been the best manager in my lifetime, without a shadow of a doubt. I think that's not controversial to say as a Liverpool fan of my age. So it is. It's a bit of a whirlwind. Obviously, I'm more bothered about what's going on the pitch and how we react on the pitch. I think that's probably going to be the most important thing for me. I feel like there's more cause for it to be fuel for the fire for these lads now. Whether they can that can galvanise them and give them that little extra edge, I don't know. But if there's one thing I do know is I hate playing Chelsea at the minute. Last couple of seasons playing you, no matter how, it reminds me of when we used to play Man U, when Man U were pretty poor under like Van Gaal, Moyes times, even before Mourinho. He was a poor team, and it was like, we're actually better than them, but we'd still end up drawing with them. We'd still end up holding the L every now and again. We'd still end up getting an odd win, but it was never like a clean sweep where you beat them home and away. And Chelsea seems to be that team at the minute. Not necessarily a bogey team, but he's always throw a spanner in the works, and we just play out a bit of a stalemate. And it's not my most enjoyable game of the season. I'm not going to lie, bro.
No, it's not great. I mean, last season, obviously, you weren't that great, but we were awful. And I think it was 2 0-0 draws last season. We had a 1-1 draw opening day of the season. That game probably could have gone either way, to be perfectly honest. You guys are playing a lot better now. You're top of the league. You're still in the FA Cup. You're in the final of the Carabao Cup. You're still in the Europa League. The quadruple is potentially still on the table, although it's always difficult to do. Mate, you must be happy. This season going as you expected, or is it kind of taking you by surprise a little bit?
I'm happy. Don't make it 2 ways about it. Considering off the back of last season, this season it's been a complete 360, or well, a 180 maybe, not the full 360. We haven't gone back to square one, but I am happy with what I'm seeing from the lads at the moment. Certain players have really stepped up the season for us. A lot of people likened or made out that it would be our defence that was still going to be the biggest question marks. We've got the best defensive record in the league. Van Dijk as an individual looks like he is back to, or people keep saying getting back to his best, but I think he's just been performing on an elite level now for the last 5-6 months. He's really taken the challenge of being, the club captain. It's like a duck to water. It's helped him raise his game a little bit, and I think it's gave him that little extra impetus to say, actually, now I really do need to step up the levels. I need to be the standard bearer for this side. The likes of Trent, I think, before his injury, I know there's not been a great deal of games been played over January in terms of the Premier League, but before his injury, I genuinely felt, even if I took my biased Liverpool red tinted glasses off, he's been one of the top 3 performers in the league for me, without a shadow of a doubt. I think he's really upped his game. Mo Salah is Mo Salah. He's inevitable. He's going to get crazy numbers. He does every season. And, there's still new players that have come in. There's been some young lads that have really shone bright this season. I think Konate is another one who just looks like an absolute beast of a centre-half, really. And it's all starting to gel nicely in Liverpool. We've had a few injuries, of course, but it looks like we're starting to get players back. And as a result of that, hopefully, next couple of weeks, months, we'll be hot on the. Well, I don't even say they're hot on the tails for City because we're ahead of them at the minute, but we just need to keep that momentum up, if I'm being honest with you, bro.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Momentum's obviously always key in football. I mean, you touched on Van Dijk there. I mean, what did you make of his? I know it's not really a big deal potentially. What do you make of his comment saying he's not sure potentially if he's going to be around after Klopp goes? I mean, is that a surprise to you? Do you think potentially that some of the players that have been stalwarts under Klopp could look to move on when he leaves at the end of the season? Is that a worry potentially?
I mean, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I think from the Van Dijk perspective, for me, the way I've kind of taken it is it's a thinly veiled swipe at the board. It's basically trying to say to them, look, you man are on notice. If you don't get in the right man for this project and to continue in all the good work that we as the players have done, the management, the backroom staff have done, you can't drop a clanger. You can't go in and get us a Moyes now. You just can't we can't have the equivalent of that now. We need to keep the throttle going. We need to keep this momentum that we've established as a club, because it's taken us a long time. Hop's been with us for 8 years, and as I say, first 2 seasons under him, there were signs, but there wasn't any no tangibles. Obviously, the last 5 years, there have been tangibles almost every single season, and the seasons where we fell short, there have been extenuating circumstances, and the last season was probably the only one where you could really question a lot more than just the injuries or unlucky runs or other little things that are playing on in the background. So from my perspective, it's Van Dijk's way of being like, look, at the end of the day, I don't really want to speak on my future right now. It's the here and now. But from my perspective, or from his perspective, I should say, it would be get the right man in, and I'll sit down and I'll talk to them. If I feel as a professional at the peak of my game that it's the wrong man, then I'll be open to see what my agent might be able to do for me as well. And you've kind of got to respect that. A lot of people, when they signed for Liverpool under Klopp, a lot of the pull was Jurgen Klopp at the time. He chose not to go to City. City offered the same money. Or at the time, it was less money, but it was the money that Southampton wanted. He didn't want to work under Pep. Not to say that he wouldn't have been equally as good, but he wanted to work with Jurgen Klopp.
Manager coming in, I know it's quite a way off still, but I mean, Liverpool must have some sort of contingency plan in place, a succession plan in place. It's a bit of a unique situation. You don't see it often where a manager announces they're leaving partway through the season, but they're still going to be there for the rest of the season. It kind of creates maybe a little bit of a strange atmosphere. I don't think that Liverpool will go down that route where the players aren't that fussed because they know the manager's going. I think because of what Klopp's done, they'll want to, that might galvanise them more. But in terms of kind of early runners for replacement, I mean, I don't know how much thought you've given it, but Xabi Alonso gets mentioned, Roberto De Zerbi is another name. But who would you like right now? Who do you think should get the job? Because it's very difficult. And I'll be honest, I think the next person that comes in, when you succeed like a legacy manager like Klopp, I think it could take 1 or 2 appointments to actually get the next guy that's right. You saw it with United with Moyes coming in, it didn't really work out. Emery went to Arsenal to replace Wenger. It could be the same sort of thing. I feel like if a Xabi Alonso comes in, like he's doing very well at Leverkusen, but this is a guy that's managed 64 games of football in his career. The Liverpool job's massive.
Massive. And I think obviously the caveat to that is he knows what it takes to play for Liverpool. So, having a little bit of management experience under his belt will put him in good stead. I think you're right, though. And I think this is where, the people that are a lot smarter than me that, have to do their due diligence in a lot of respects will look at it and actually go back to the drawing board, and not just our drawing board. I'd like them to be actually looking at what Man U did to fuck it up. Sorry to swear, but what Arsenal did to balls up with their appointments of Emery. I'm not saying that was the wrong one. I just think there was a lot of other things that were going on. Especially in Emery's circumstance, it's not quite the same as the Moyes one. Moyes just seemed to be he was the early front runner. It was Sir Alex Ferguson's man, and he was going to go for it, and it just never seemed to fit. I don't think the players at that time really wanted to show him that level of respect and extend that to him. There's not. I'd be lying if I said I had a name that I'd comfortably just like. Obviously, everyone can say Xabi Alonso right now, and obviously the affinity to Liverpool, the fact that he's doing well. I could sit there and say, yeah. But if you went back 18 months ago, some Liverpool fans would have had the same feelings about Gerrard. Respectively doing well over in the Scottish League. He was doing all right. When he first came to Villa before it all went tits up. So who knows where he might be come the end of the season. Now, if he goes on to win something and does buy-in in their league, unbelievable.
I mean, you could, mate. You could. I mean, imagine because Leverkusen could feasibly go pretty deep in the Europa League as well. Imagine if it ended up being like a Liverpool Klopp against Alonso Europa League final. It would be crazy, wouldn't it? It would be mad. But I mean, look, do you agree with when obviously Klopp said in the press conference, he's going to have nothing to do with picking the replacement. We know that Sir Alex basically handpicked David Moyes. Do you think it's right that the football people pick the next manager and Klopp doesn't have a say? Or do you feel that do you feel he should have a say in it?
Again, it's a hard one, really, because ideally you'd like him to want to hand the reins over to somebody that you think he's got a level of respect for, and that they'd equally get it. But at the same token, you then expect that, you know, that's what the board are there for. That's what you're going to have a sporting director or a technical director in there for as well. You know, that's kind of their job. So I would want them to really, again, as I say, it's going back to the drawing board. You've got to have a short list and you've got to interview people. But I think it's not really speculation. I think he's new and told the board since November. So that's given them a big birth of time to start thinking about things. From that perspective, I would expect them to at least question the Xabi Alonso links. You know, is there any viability to it? Is it something that we can do? Would he want to come at the end of the season? You know, he's got to be someone. And I think it's about the profile. You've got to now start to look at what managers do, not just in terms of the pulling power that they've got for getting big names and whatever, what have you. But you've also then got to look at the nitty gritty. You know, are they the type of man manager? Because a lot of these players are used to having a hugger. They're used to having Jurgen Klopp. They're used to the fist bumps. They're used to, you know, the big smile and all the rest of it. And would they then work well under a disciplinarian? Would they work really well under a Simeone and his style? Or is that just too much chalk and cheese? Do they need to find the right balance? So there's a lot of thought that's got to go into it, to be honest with you. And as I say, fans can speculate. It's easy to just throw names out there and just say, oh, yeah, they'd be able to come in and do a job. But the reality is we don't know the minerals of most, apart from the ones that have all got medals by next to the name and honours. We don't know the minerals of half of the managers that names get touted around Europe. So it's easy to go with the safe bet in Alonso because if he feels like he could be an acceptable and suitable person. But what I think Liverpool need to try to avoid where they can is, I'd say, trying to get Jurgen Klopp 2.0. We might be in Liverpool 2.0 right now, which is fine. But I don't want us to try and emulate what Klopp's did. You know, I think that was one of the great things about him. I think he's been authentic to himself the entire time that he's been with us. So in that respect, I'd want somebody to be their own authentic self. I don't want them to try and replicate it. I don't want them to try and force that type of bond because Liverpool fans have been used to it. I'd want them to come in with their own self-belief, self-confidence, and ultimately quality to really sprinkle on. Because at the end of the day, I said it on the watch-along yesterday, mate, and I don't know if you'd agree with this, but when there have been teams and the teams have been poor and the manager comes in and he's looking around the dressing room being like, I don't fancy you. And players always say, you know, when a new manager comes in, does my face fit and all the rest of it? This Liverpool team's full of quality. Whether you think they're going to be quality enough to win the Champions League or the Premier League, that's another argument. But there is quality within it. If Jurgen Klopp, you know, one of the best top 3, top 4 managers in the world, has chose to play certain players for X amount of periods of time, it's because he believes that they are of a certain level and they do have the quality to represent the shirt. So I think it does make the next manager's job a little bit easier that he's being handed over a squad that's fit for purpose. And then it's maybe just adding a couple of your players to add your stamp and someone that's going to then buy into you and run through brick walls for you. I think that will hopefully make the difference. And I think more so than you said before, does Klopp need to pick the next manager? I think Klopp's picked the next spine. Yeah. And I think that in itself is enough for any manager worth his weight in gold to really come and do something with it. And it might not be, you know, to win something straight away. I don't think the board will have that expectation. For Klopp, the expectation was in 4 or 5 years we'll win a Premier League, and he delivered. The board will be patient with the next man, provided that next man has got the qualities and shows enough to say, yeah, I can deliver the project.
No, absolutely, mate. I mean, it's not like a Chelsea situation where the squad's not really ready to compete. There's so many new components and whatnot. Like, Liverpool have got a team that is capable of winning straight off the bat. Yeah, you might need 1 or 2 more quality additions.
And
maybe
we might lose Van Dijk if we lost Van Dijk.
You might lose Mo Salah this summer as well. Probably will. But like, there's still more than enough quality there. And as long as it's not Roy Hodgson coming back, I think you'll probably be all right. So
hopefully.
Moving ahead to the game, obviously Wednesday night. Well, I'll be honest, mate. I feel a little bit more confident about us at the moment. You know, we're on a bit of an up. We're on a bit of an up in terms of, you know, we're still in the FA Cup. We've made the Carabao Cup final. Yes, it was only Middlesbrough, but we still got through or whatever. And in the league, no one's taken more points than us in the last 5 game weeks. So I know we've not played the best opposition, but from where we've come from, we're about 3 or 4 points off 6th place. All right. You know, if you said that at the start of the season, we're 3 or 4 points off 6th come sort of start of Feb, you'd be like, that's not great. But I think given the circumstance, I actually think Pochettino's done a half decent job personally from my perspective, given the extensive injuries, given, you know, all the difficulties in trying to bed all these youngsters in. I actually think he's done all right. I mean, mate, what have you made of us? What have you made of us?
Well, I'll ask you this. Do you start to see more from Pochettino at the minute? Are you starting to see like him putting together the way that he wants to play and obviously going forward? Because I know when we spoke on Saeed's channel a couple of months back, it was like, yeah, the performances are starting to get better, but it's going to come down to results. You started to blend the two now, obviously, with the cups. You were getting the results to obviously go through to the next round and get into a final. And then obviously now you're starting to get more results in the league as well. Are you starting to feel more confident that he knows the direction he needs to take us in?
I think so, yeah. I think obviously winning always breeds confidence, and when your team's winning and you're putting a few wins together, like you believe more in the players, you believe more in the manager because he's showing that he can do it. But I think, you know, even going back to the Villa game Friday night in the FA Cup, for about 65, 70 minutes, we were brilliant. We comfortably played them off the park. Obviously, last 20 minutes they came back into it, and if the game had gone to extra time, we might well have lost that game. But you know, I think there are improvements. You know, at the start of the season we were playing well but not getting results. Now we're playing well in some games and we're not playing so well in others, but we're getting the results. And that's the most important thing. I think the performances have improved. You can see what he wants to do. It's just having the players available to do that. And I look at the Villa game. I know we go on about, you know, we spent a lot of money, but if we had a centre forward, we're 2-0 up in that Villa game at half time. You know, it's all, I know it's ifs and buts, but you put like an Ivan Toney or an Osimhen in that team, and rather than being 3 or 4 points off 6th, we could be in the top 4. We're talking that much of a difference, and I think obviously
you've got to pull the trigger and do any business in January.
Mate, I don't think so, mate. This honestly, I don't know what about you, but this window, just in general, has been one of the worst transfer windows.
The whole month, man.
It's been the whole month has just been horrendous. There's literally been nothing. I mean, I don't think Arsenal, Liverpool, United, Chelsea.
That was
Spurs got Werner and they signed that Dragas in that centre back. Other than that, no one's done anything. So I don't think we will get anyone. Which I'm kind of like, I don't mind to a degree because we brought in so many players. It's good to get some continuity with the current players and then get the right guy in the summer. But yeah, I think we are improving. I think we're doing better. Look, going to Anfield's always difficult. I take a point right now. I think Cole Palmer's been absolutely outstanding for us. I probably would say, I would take the bias off slightly, but I do believe that if he's not the best signing this summer for the Premier League, then he's certainly in the top 2 or top 3. He's been absolutely brilliant. I mean, mate, what have you made of him? Because again, I think he was a surprise.
I like him, you know. I didn't really know much about him from his City days, to be honest with you. And I think Pep's not necessarily Pep, but I think the City squad can be like that. Really, you always focus on the De Bruyne's, you know, the Haalands. You see, Foden was like the last real gem that they brought through, and he's pinned down a position. I know he's been in and out of the squad over the last 12 months, but you know, he's got the quality. I like Cole Palmer though, and I always feel with Chelsea, you've got to give them respect, man, no matter how, and that's why no matter how poor you have been, we've not been able to dunk on you. We've not been able to just wipe the floor with you. And you know, the season that we went on to win the league, I think we might have done the double over you that season when we won it.
Yeah, I think that Anfield game was the one where Lampard had a go at Klopp or whatever. And I think you might have beat us like 5-3 or something mad like that. It was a crazy game.
Yeah, and I think, you know, that was the last time when we was like, wow, you know, we've almost got Chelsea's number, but you've always, and this goes back to when I was a kid days, you know what I mean? Champions League, Mourinho, ghost goal settings, and all of them things. Chelsea were never a team that like you'd bank on it and say, yeah, there's an easy 3 points. We always knew, no matter what, whether you were good, we knew we was in for a tough 90 minutes, or if you were bad, we knew that you weren't just going to roll over and have your bellies tickled at the same time. So I expect the same to be said, but I'm hoping at the minute we've just got an added extra edge. I really want to see angry Liverpool now. And not like in an arrogant, angry, just like, I want us to get that fear factor back that, you know what, the last X amount of games, we might have 20 games left total with Klopp as our manager, we're just going to be bastards to absolutely everybody. And it's not personal about the other team. Yeah, the other team just have to get it. Like, you know, when you just want to harness that kind of, and you've seen performances from your own team and you think, that's a performance that we need to replicate more of. that's the type of energy that I'd love us to carry out for the next 20. And that's a big ask. You know, I'll be real. That is a big ask. Like, but games against, you know, your rivals. Chelsea are a rival club. They're a big institution in English football. Getting a big W against your lads would be another massive boost, and one that we could do with, because, as I say, we've been beating teams lately, but we've been beating teams that we'd expect to beat. We've only lost one game all season in the Premier League, and I think anyone who wants to just be a football fan first will know straight away we was robbed, in at least of the draw. Do you know what I mean? At Spurs, we was actually robbed in the FA, and them lot have come out and said, yeah, we balls that up. So Liverpool have been in good shape. So, I'll go back to the point I made earlier. Defensively, that surprised a lot of people. But again, we always had the quality there. It was just a case of, are they going to be able to hold and maintain that level now week in, week out? And so far, for the most part, we've done a fairly decent job of it. So I expect it to still be a very tight game, if I'm honest with you. I think Cole Palmer's a massive threat for you. I just love his confidence on the ball, mate. He's someone that is fearless for his age. And I think the comparisons to, I can't even remember what footballer it was. I must have posted something on I don't know if it was on his Instagram or Twitter, but it was put over on Twitter before. And he was mentioning how, his kid's in an academy in Spain somewhere, and he's just being told to pass the ball, getting instructions, diagonal runs, this, and it's just over peppering these young players' heads.
Yeah, too much.
Kids aren't dribbling no more. Like, they're being so molded into something, and it's like, let them just play footy, let them make mistakes, let them get to a certain age, and when they're 14, 15, if they've got the quality, then teach them the ingredients that they're going to need to be able to cook in the La Liga or the Champions League or the Prem, whatever it might be. And it's the same with him. Under City, there's clearly a regiment. Pep's got a blueprint for how he wants the academy to play, how he wants the first team squad to play, how he wants the reserves to play, the unders, whatever you want to call it. And Palmer may have been able to do that, but given the freedom what he's been given at Chelsea, mate, just look at the way that he plays. Look at the confidence.
I'm so surprised as well, because this is his first proper season playing regular senior football. Like, he's been on the outskirts of City playing a few games here and there. This is his first season of being an actual, I say proper footballer for want of a better phrase, but this is his first season. And like, what impresses me the most is his IQ, football IQ is exceptional as well. Like,
that teaching from what City have given him.
Yeah.
Now he knows, even though he's been given a little bit of a freer role, he still knows the right time to pass, to give, to go, the movement where he needs to be, because that's all been drilled into him. So there are pros to it, but it's then trusting the player to do what they've got naturally, and you can't always teach that. And he looks like he's got some raw qualities that you couldn't drill that into him.
No.
Like, I seen him do some filthy skill on the touchline the other day.
Oh, that was against Middlesbrough in a second. Mate, it was outrageous. Like, it just
against Middlesbrough, but he'd do that against anyone.
Yeah, he's got, like, for someone so young that's not played an awful lot of football, he's got so much confidence, swagger, almost a little bit of arrogance, but in a good way. Like, knowing, like, he knows how good he is, but he delivers on the pitch as well. And you don't mind having a bit of arrogance if you can back it up. But mate, how disappointed would you be if Moise Caicedo drops a masterclass Wednesday night? I mean, what sort of reception do you think he's going to get from Liverpool fans? Do you think he'll be booed, or do you just think you've forgotten about it, sort of moved on?
I think a lot of shit's happened since then now. Yeah. For us anyway, as Liverpool, not Liverpool fans, but as the team, do you know what I mean? Like, he made his bed, he made his decision. Fair enough, you can look at it and say, you know what, you're meant to be a man of your word, and you was. You'd given Chelsea your word before Liverpool inquired, fair play. I wouldn't, only until you mentioned it then did I remember that he was so, and it's because difference if we was in a position where you think, raw, we've needed the 6 all season, the defense has been leaking goals, but just too easy to cut through in the midfield, and then you see what you could have had prize, then there'd be a little bit of needle there, there'd be that little bit of animosity. But I think Liverpool have, for the most part, as I say again, defensively this season, even with a Caicedo, does he take us that much further? And when by taking us that much further, we haven't lost a handful of games. Like, we wouldn't have lost that. You could probably look at a couple of the draws, maybe. I think the Luton draw might spring to mind, but outside of that, mate, I think you're being very hypercritical if you was to think that. And not to say that, his level wouldn't improve the squad, because it ultimately would. But in terms of what we've went to do as a squad since, you'd be splitting hairs to say that he could be the ultimate difference maker for us this season.
No, mate, I absolutely agree, mate. When you've lost one game all season, like it's hard to say, like, oh, he would have made such a massive difference. So there's, of course, as you say, like it improves the quality of the squad, but ultimately, how much of a better position would Liverpool be in right now with Caicedo? You can't be. You can't be in a better position, right? You could be a few more points ahead, but ultimately, you can't really be in that much of a better position than you guys are in right now. But to round out, mate, how do you see this one going? How do you see this game going? Obviously, generally they've ended in draws. They don't tend to be high-scoring games. I
can see
we normally create. We do tend to create a lot of chances, but you always score. I mean, Darwin Núñez is someone that I actually really like. Yes, he misses a lot of chances, but he's always there. He causes problems. Jota's a great finisher. Gakpo's coming into decent form. I expect that probably be the front three. Maybe Diaz might play. I don't know. You can cause so many problems. We will get opportunities. It's just whether we take them. But we've got to, as always with Chelsea, like particularly with Anfield, you've got to play the match, not the occasion. Like if you get sucked into the atmosphere and the cauldron-like vibes, etc., it's going to be a long day. If you just come in and play your game, maybe if we can frustrate you, don't concede an early goal, then and grow into the game a bit more, maybe we can nick something. But I don't feel massively confident. I think if we got a draw, I'd be delighted.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't know if that's much to go off, though. If, you soak up the pressure and get out of 35 minutes, 40 minutes, because we've been a second half team.
True.
A lot of the goals that we went on to score and a lot of the wins we've done, we've clawed it back in the second half and turned it round. So the first half an hour wouldn't really indicate too much to me as to whether what Liverpool's going to turn up, because it's the Liverpool after half time that ultimately you really do need to be worried about, because we do look like different animals sometimes. I don't even really want to say it, but when we played Spurs in the Champions League final, I don't know whether Spurs' legs had just fell off and Poch kind of forced Harry Kane back when he was injured and probably shouldn't have. Went with Son and Lucas Moura maybe. But I think this game, for Poch more than anything else, is one that he will just want to take as much info from as possible. He'll want to see us. Now we're playing a lot better up close and personal and see how we're operating, seeing the pattern.
Almost a scouting mission for the final, almost.
Yeah, pretty much. I think he'd probably try and prioritise getting the W in a final, getting Chelsea some early silverware, and obviously then picking up points on the road at other clubs if he had to. Again, I might be completely wrong, but the type of manager that he is, I think having that 3 weeks advantage to just dissect a proper Liverpool game, knowing you're going to come up against them again in a neutral ground, that might be in the back of his mind, his takeaway. If we go there, get beat 2-1, as long as I can take away enough that I can feel when it comes to final day, we can really go at them and I can give new instructions that could be game changers, I think he would probably take that. I don't think he's going to go gung-ho for it. I think he will be quite compact. I imagine, the way that he will look to set up. It will be very difficult to break his down. I think that midfield, as I say, at the moment, it seems to be probably the best it's functioned for Chelsea for some time.
It's definitely improving.
Yeah. So as a consequence of that, I think we just need to bring our A game. But as I say, I think if we can bring the anger and the aggression into the way that we go on to play, and it's not just because it's Chelsea. I think 9 times out of 10, every team in this league is going to get rolled over by Liverpool between now and then. If it's the Liverpool, I believe we can be at our best. Do you get me? Don't get me wrong. We could turn up and people could have that, the man flu and be hungover, or COVIDs, or gone off to Dublin for the night out. Anything could frigging happen. Yeah, but if they're on job, I would expect our Liverpool side to turn up and at least push Chelsea to a victory. We'd have to 2-1. I'm saying.
No, mate, I would agree with you, mate. I don't expect us to win. We're in decent form. Away form, as I said, it's poor. 1 win in the last 6 away games is not good at all.
Who have you played on the road? Who have you played on the road?
Mate, Wolves. We lost at Wolves. We lost at Borough in the Cup. We lost at United, Everton. There's been a few. Not great. I'll be honest, I don't see us winning this game. I'd be shocked if we won. But I think, to be honest, bro, I agree with you. I think we probably will lose this game 2-1, but maybe we could nick a draw. But if I'm being brutally honest, I think we lose 2-1. But let's wait and see what happens. Ultimately, if we lose this game and we win the final, if that's the trade-off, I would more than take that. Absolutely.
I don't know if I want to trade off. I want to win everything at the minute. I'm on a hunt, man. I'm on a man.
But you would sacrifice. You would lose this game on Wednesday if it meant you win the cup final. Would you? I certainly would, but we're not. But we're not competing for the same things as you, so maybe it's a bit different.
I feel like we've got one. We've definitely got one more loss in us this season, league-wise, that doesn't jeopardize us from being able to go on to win it ultimately.
Yeah.
I think, if we drew, but we wouldn't have. I just don't want the final to go to pens. I just want to beat Chelsea.
Mate, I can't do it. Bro, 2 years ago, I walked out of Wembley twice. Looking back at that arch lit up in red, so depressing. But I can't do that again. I can't do it again, mate. We've lost we lost our last 5 Wembley finals. That's 5 times I've walked out of that stadium, mate. We lost the last 5, 3 FA Cup finals in a row. We've lost, and we've lost our last 2 Carabao finals. So
I didn't even realise that.
Yeah, bro, it's bad for us at the moment. Like no domestic cups since 2017. So yeah, we're overdue, but. It's going to be tough. But look, if we can get a draw on Wednesday night, I take it. But I do, if I'm being honest, I expect us to lose. But who knows? Stranger things have happened in football. Maybe we can put a dampener on the Klopp leaving party. Let's wait and see. But bro,
that's what it is. This is it for now. It is the leaving party, bro. So
the leaving party, isn't it? It's the farewell tour. If we can put a dampener on it, then I'm happy. But yeah, bro, thanks so much for your time. It's massively appreciated. Let's see what happens Wednesday night, and then obviously. Mate, maybe we'll catch up again before the final. But
we'll definitely will.
Definitely will, mate. Cheers for your time, bro. Greatly appreciated. Nice one.
No worries.